You knew you were making history, I guess.
Mm, you don't, yes and no. You don't really know all that stuff when you're doing it. That's not really what you're doing. When you're doing stuff like that, you're trying to do a good job of what you're doing. And that is to climb a route in good style. That's the total sum of what you're doing.
In this article about Warren Harding and the first ascent of the nose and also the second ascent on which you were on, it said when they got to the top, I think it was 6 a.m. in the morning, and there was quite a group of people, including a lot of media people there. But it didn't develop into anything commercially or whatever for Warren and those who did that. Who was there when you got to the top of the, when you finished the Salathé route?
We were. Let's see, I'm trying to remember.
Were there reporters or?
Oh no,
just
of course
friends?
not. I don't remember if any of our friends were up there or not. There was when we climbed the nose, a bunch of our friends came up, and that was really great. But no, we didn't go about telling the media that we were doing a climb. We realized that when we're on the Salathé wall that there was only another half dozen people that knew we were up there climbing it or cared that we were up there climbing it, and that it was a personal and private experience that we were having, but we recognized that it was a good climb and a classic.
And it was you and Chuck and Royal.
That's right.
What time did you finish? Was it during the day?
Yeah.
So, and that was how many days?
I think we spent a total of 9 days. It was in a couple of different pushes.
Yeah. You came and did so much and then came back later.
Yeah, we climbed the lower half of the route over several days and then went back up and did the upper half.
I suppose that that the Salathé route would be considered as the ultimate route of rock climbing, would it not?
I don't know. It's considered one of the greatest routes. It's the nose and the Salathé wall are very popular routes the world over. Everybody would like to climb those routes.
What do you think about the what's happening today and how quickly these routes are being done, especially in the nose?
Oh yeah, the standard of climbing is really impressive. You know, we spent 7 days climbing the nose in 1960, and it was a great experience for us. It changed my life, and so the standard of climbing is fantastic.
How did it change your life, Tom?
It's just a great experience to do a route like that. It gives you a whole new perception of the creation itself and how the Creator would bless us in having an experience like that.
It must be a great confidence builder to feel. I was in an endeavor once that had nothing in the world to do with climbing. In fact, it was sort of it was political. And I felt when I finished that, when I look back on how difficult it was, that nothing for the rest of my life would ever be a big problem. And it sort of developed that way. That was many years ago. And I could see that when the three of you look back down 3,000 feet to where you started. Is that correct?
Yeah.
3,000 feet straight up that wall, the middle of the El Cap. that you must have had somewhat the same feeling that after this, I could go out and do whatever I want to do.
Well, there's no experience I've had that's comparable to stepping off a wall onto the top of El Cap. That's an experience that you have to experience yourself. But there's a tremendous joy in climbing routes such as El Cap. It's a great experience to have in your life.
You speak of, and I know that you have a very deep religious faith. Isn't that true?
Well, yeah.
You're a Mormon,
Yes.
and was part of your upbringing, or you?
No, it's something
That
that
you acquired, you adopted on your own.
yeah.
And were you into that or feeling those things at the time that you were climbing?
No, not at the time. That was subsequent to the early '60s in Yosemite,
Mhm.
climbing El Cap. That was later.
But you must have had some sense that you, as you say, you were blessed and you're quite lucky, because there were, I'm sure, it's kind of like driving down a freeway today in LA or any of these big cities. They claim that your life, I think, is at risk every 7 seconds or something like that. But on a wall like that, your life was indeed, I'm sure, at risk at many points, was it not?
Not that we were aware.
You weren't thinking about it.
The scariest part of El Cap is of climbing El Cap is standing in the meadow, looking up at it, and the reason we climb is to take care of that problem, and we find that looking down at the meadow from high in El Cap is generally less frightening than looking up at it from the meadow.
Yeah, seeing the challenge you had after you finished it. Well, I was just had read this story, and according to the Climbing Magazine article, Warren was using, I guess, hemp rope, and on the nose, and early on one broke, and he did have a very short fall. And at that point, according to the article, he said, we're going to go get nylon rope, and the expense be damned. And so, but it's very hard to believe, to hear you sit here so calmly today and describe going up that route for 3,000 feet and not feeling at some point maybe this is not going to work and I'm going to be back down there where I started.
No, we didn't.
You had done enough at that time. You had a lot of confidence already.
Things were working good, and we had a lot of confidence in our companions, and we had nothing but good experiences in our climbs together.